What's up, motherfuckers? Gukesh has been eliminated of the World Cup. The current world champion has been eliminated of this tournament. So, okay, the winner of this tournament is not the world champion, but this tournament gives three spots for the candidate tournament. Of course, it's an important tournament that every player want to win. So, Gukesh doesn't lose the title of world champion to lose in this tournament, but he has been eliminated by Frederick Svane. So in the first round they draw, and in the second round with white, Gukesh lost. So let's analyze that game. Okay, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Gukesh select the Italian opening. Nowadays the Italian has been more employed than the Spanish, especially in the beat. But against yes, in general every players are playing more the Italian nowadays than the Spanish. Knight f6, d3, bishop c5, long castle, d6, c3. And here I like how Spain play because okay, here black have many moves, but I always employ the same move like Spain here, who is c5, a5. Sorry, I really like this move, just stopping before, because the one of the white ideas is going to be take a space in the queen side with the move before. So I really like a5, stopping before. The rook e1, that's my favorite setup with black against the Italian defense. I always employ that. H3, H6, and now knight D2. That's the main position of the Italian with A5. That's the main position. In the type of position, A4 have no so strength. Here, for example, bishop E6, or I employ bishop A7 in the past. Both moves are more or less equal. So we can play the main move, who is knight D2. And now the main move here was bishop B6, bishop B5, and now black have many moves. The most employed was queen B8 or for example bishop b6 or bishop b7 are other possibilities. I remember that knight a7 was playable too. But Spain prefers to play bishop b6. This is a prophylaxis because in some lines white is playing d4, especially if you want to play knight e7 to gain with the knight to g6, who is the best square for the knight. Uh, d4 is attacking the bishop, so if you want to play knight e7, you should play or bishop b6 or bishop a7 first. So bishop b6 by Frederick, prophylaxis, and now I have many moves. For example, knight f1, this can transpose to the line with bishop e6 TLD, with bishop e6 and now knight e7, coming to e6 with the knight, and there are ideas with knight e7 f5 too, but I think that knight e6 here was normal. Or of course c6, bishop c7, d5, these type of ideas are in the air too, or c6, d5 are normal, but the e7, the knights used to go to e6. So here bishop b3 is normal too. For example, bishop b6, knight c4. Now bishop should move again, but it doesn't matter so much. a4, rook e8, bishop e3, and just straight and queen d7, and the position is equal. For example, here bishop b5 was another option. Just knight e7, d4, and now it's interesting to play c6, bishop c7, defending e5. We are going to keep the knight on e7 for the moment because now we're going to play d5 and recapture with the knight on d5. That's why we play bishop c7 to defend e5 instead of knight d6. So here Gukesh played a4. Now I prefer a little bit bishop e6. I used to like this move, but okay, he doesn't play that because he wants to avoid bishop takes and maybe knight c4. But here you can just move the bishop and just trade. Something like this looks that the position is equal. Okay, black have double pawns, but now the rook is the f5 is open for the rook and knight h5, knight f4 is coming, so this position is more or less equal. But okay, he played bishop d7, and it's strange because um after b3 by Gukesh, now he played bishop b6. Can look a little bit strange, but it's because the pawn on b3 have not so much sense in these lines. So here the pawn on b3 is bad place because in the position after bishop takes e6, for example, in this type of positions, now the queen can came to b3 to attack e6 and to attack b7 in some lines. That's why he doesn't play bishop e6 directly. But after bishop d7, the move b3, okay, the move b3 is logical to play bishop b2 followed by some d4, but now bishop b6 is going to be fine because if he cannot take and play the ideas of queen b3. So that's why Spain play bishop b6 in two tempos. Okay, the rook prefer rook e8 a little bit, but bishop b6 is completely fine. Now bishop b2 by Gukesh, and I want that you note one thing, that when white plays the bishop on b2, now the f4 square are yes, not defended by his bishop, by this bishop. So it's so typical in the Italian, in this type of structures, when white plays bishop b2 or bishop b3, when let's say bishop b2, when white leaves the f4 square, go directly with the knight to f4. So that's so typical when your opponents leave the c1 h6 diagonal, play knight h5, knight f4. Frederick play first king h8, but just to directly play knight h5, knight f4. So typical idea. Rook a2. Gukesh wants to defend the second rank with the rook. Knight h5, knight f1, knight f4, and now Gukesh will return with the bishop to c1. And now queen f6. Very good move, defending the knight. Knight g3, and again very good move. g5, putting more defense in the knight. And here is where Gukesh start to fail a little bit, because he played knight a2, and the best move was d4. The problem of knight a2 is that it's a little bit slow, because after queen g6 and d5, here black is fine. So he should play more deal in the center with d4, but the position is not easy, of course. D4 is not an easy move, because you should calculate d4, and here white can take on f4 first, black take on f3, bishop e3, so the position is also difficult to understand well. It takes, she takes, and trade everything, and the machine say that white is slightly better, but of course it's so difficult to understand all of this. I don't remember here what white should still playing. I'm going to see a moment, because I just don't remember. Here knight h5 was the key move. Yes, I just don't remember. And because he's attacking the queen, and the d4 bishop is hanging, and if queen e5, queen f3. That's the idea. I don't remember why white is fine there. So that's not easy to play d4, of course. So Gukesh play knight a2, and here Svane still playing so good. I'm not going to comment so much about the Frederick move, because during all the game he played the best move. He made the perfect game. So queen g6, great move. Because okay, if the knight is coming to g4 to attack the queen, so he just moves the queen, and apart he can take control of the h5 square, and now the f pawn is free to advance. So bishop e3, and very important move here, d5 is not. White is going to be fine, so white should react active in the center. d5, he takes, bishop takes, and now I see that the d3 pawn now is a little bit weak. After maybe a rook can came to d8 one day and attack this pawn. So bishop b6, cb, and finally we can return with the knight to f3 to attack e5. Rook d8, just placing ready the rook d2, defending the d3 pawn. After bishop takes, he takes f6. Now I want to stop here a little bit, because okay, both bishops are traded, the pawn structure have changed. So let's try to understand the position. Here the machine say that the position is equal, but I think that black is slightly better, because black have a pawn majority on the king side with the 3 pawns, with 4 pawns and with 3 pawns. And okay, of course, white have his pawn majority in the king side, in the queen side, but these pawns are double. So the c pawns are double, and yes, white have not easy a plan to advance the queen side pawns. So I think that here black is better. Apart, it's not only the majority, it's the e5 pawn with the help of the f6 pawn. I think that a give black a small advantage. That's true that okay, the black king is a little bit open, and we have especially these two squares for the knight. But in general, I prefer the black position. The machine says equal, but I think that this white, the player who still, yes, playing well, should play well to maintain the equal. We can select 94, who is a good move. Analyzing another move, for example, queen b1, king a7, queen takes, rook d1, trade, rook d8, and here with 94, say the machine says that the position only with the knight is equal. I believe, I think that without rooks, it looks like the position is equal. And instead of queen b1, b4 was another possibility. This pawn sacrifice. For example, queen e3, and the position is equal. But okay, 94 play by Gukesh is fine. But I still think that the black position is more pleasant. The machine is still saying equal, but I think that black position is more pleasant thanks to the e5 strong pawn, strong central pawn. Rook d2, queen d2, rook d8. Apart, black is a little bit more active. He has the control of the d5. Queen e3 and f5. Very good move, attacking the knight. Knight g3 and now knight d3. Rook d1 and f4. Looks like Svane is yes, have more initiative in the position. It's all the time attacking pieces. Queen e4, and now important move of Svane. Instead of trade queens on e4, he trade queens, but first improving his game position. It's not about how who pieces trade or not trade. It's in which square trade the piece, which is an important thing too. Of course, Black accept that he's going to trade queens, but he say, okay, I'm going to trade it, but placing my queen on g6 in my own terms. So very good, king h7, queen takes, king takes, 94, king f5, and there's still a difference between the kings. Therefore, the reason I say that I prefer the black position because the black king is so much active than the white king. And the only important goal of white position is the e4 square. That's the first thing that white have in the position. But black is putting so much pressure. Here, Frederick plays knight c5, but h5 directly was stronger. f3, knight c5, for example, rook e1, and now g4. This looks fine for black. He first repeat with the knight. The problem is that now Gukesh improved the position of his rook. That's the problem of that the rook is better placed on b1 than on d1. h5, king f1, knight c5. But okay, that's the first small inaccuracy of Frederick. Until the move 32, he was playing a 100% accuracy game. So very, very, very good game of Frederick. I really like this. Is one of my favorite game of the tournament because he make a is an incredible accuracy, like 99.9%. Okay, h5, f3. Sorry, 95. He goes with the rook to b1, h5, king king f1. Now he opened the d3 square to enter with the rook, f3. Now he entered with the rook, king f2, g4. H takes, and here comes the decisive mistake of Gukesh, and maybe his only mistake because we are in the move 39, and both players are playing a perfect game, a practically perfect game. Yes, they are playing perfect, especially Frederick. But here comes the mistake of Gukesh, but this of course because Black is putting so much pressure. Okay, no more space with his pawn, he has no more of his king, more of his rook. Like, the knights are more similar, but they're equal, but looks like it's so much easier to play with black than with white. The only resort to white for still playing here was rook h1. That's the best move of the position, trying to activate the rook. And if black makes the same like in the game with g3, rook e1, and 94, for example, here the difference is that the rook now is active in the h5 compared with the game. Here black have the reserve of try something with 94, knight takes and play this position with the exchange down, but after king e2 97, the position is equal, but of course still so complicated. Black has this plan of 90, 95, 93, and it's not clear the position. I think that black is putting pressure here. But instead of rook h1 to activate the rook, Gukesh is still playing so passive with rook e1, and this was his last moment of play active with rook h1. But after rook e1 mistake, now he has zero chances. Now Frederick start to play, still playing perfectly, and yes, and destroy Gukesh in the same game. He play g3, king e2, and the problem is that now black is trading rooks. So here in this line, the h1 rook is the most active piece of white, and now with the rook on d1, we trade rooks. And now the rest is more or less easy. I'm not going to say easy for Frederick because he is still playing very good moves. But now I want to put us this like exercise to just to think what moves you could do here. Okay, here I hope that you find the best move of the position. The best move was king e6. Why? To play knight e7, knight f5, and later knight e3 and capturing b2. Because okay, black position looks fine, but how continue with knight king e7, king e6, going back? Very good move to improve the knight and reach the great square e3. And he made this plan. Knight e7, king e2, knight f5, knight g5, king e7. Just put the king diagonal with the knight is great because the knight have no checks. The knight needs three tempos to, sorry, three tempos to, fuck, three tempos to give a check to the king. So I'm going to make the lesson. Um, that put the king in diagonal with the knight is a very common technique. Knight e4, king e6, knight g5. Okay, he finally repeat, but only to reach this position. And finally, Gukesh trade these knights. But now the knight lands on h4 to take g2, just finishing his plan. And he just crashed to the g2 pawn, and here Gukesh resign because he has a pawn down, and this pawn is, yes, it's also dangerous, so here just Gukesh resign. So very good game of Svane, sorry. Very good game. I really like how he play this game. He has played better. I have nothing to say about the Frederick game. So congratulations to 20-minute Gukesh, who is not playing so well during the last tournaments. And let's see how continue the tournament. Bye bye, motherfuckers.